All right, in this lesson, I wanted to do a review of the apply method on single columns or series. This is something that we introduced way back in the series module, and I wanted to do a quick review so that we can have more clarity when we dive into the apply method when being used on an entire data frame. So as a reminder, when called on a series, the apply method applies some kind of operation to every value within that series. It's very similar to a broadcasting operation, such as multiplying every value or dividing every value, but apply is usually used for something like a more custom operation, especially if you're doing things like conditionals, if this, give me that, otherwise give me that. So in this lesson, let's just review using the apply method, and what we're going to do is let's first take a look at our data frame. Let's take our values in the box office column, our budget column, and our bond actor salary columns, and let's convert them to strings, and then let's just add the word millions to the end of everything. So what I'm first going to do is define a custom Python function. I'm going to type it, or call it rather, let's do convert to string and add millions. And I'm going to give it a single argument, which is going to be my number. This is going to be what every single value in the series is passed into. So let's return a string version of the current number, and then we'll concatenate millions with an exclamation point to the end. So again, this is a custom function that no existing method in pandas can emulate, so that's when we want to use apply. And if I just take my box office column as one example, there I have it, and I want to apply this convert to string and add millions method or function to every value within my box office column, I can call apply and then give it the argument, which is going to be the name of the actual method that I want to use. So there I am typing in the name of my method. And as you can see, it's going to repeat that function for every value within my series. And if I want to keep these values and overwrite the original ones, I can just reassign this back to bond box office. And let's say I want to do the entire operation again, but with my budget column. I can extract budget. I can call apply on it, give it the exact same method. It also has floating point values, so it's going to work. And there I have my new values. I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to overwrite the existing ones, and so on and so forth. So the apply method, again, takes an existing Python function and applies it to every value within a series. And in this case, if I want to iterate over a certain number of columns within my data frame and apply the same operation, we could do it one by one, just like we've done it here twice for box office and budget. But there is a syntax that I think is a little bit more elegant, and I wanted to conclude this lesson by showing it to you. I'm going to actually re-execute this code so we come back to our original looking data frame. And I'm going to keep my method or function. I'm going to keep it the exact same. And instead of manually writing out each column, what I'm actually going to do is create a variable called columns, and I'm going to store a list of the columns that I want to use. And in this case, let's apply this operation to every floating point column. So that's going to be box office, which has numbers, budget, which has numbers, and bond actor salary that has numbers. What I then want to do is create a Python for loop, which is going to iterate over every single value in this list. And I'm going to give it a temporary variable name that's going to represent those three values one at a time: box office, budget, and then bond actor salary. And I'm going to give that temporary variable name COL for column. For every column in my columns list that I defined on the line above, what I want to do is grab each column, which is going to be bond, and then square brackets. And now instead of manually writing in the string that represents my column name, I can give it my call temporary variable, because on every iteration of this for loop, it's going to represent a different value from my list. So on the first iteration, it's going to be box office, then budget, and finally bond actor salary. That's the column that I'm going to extract on every iteration from our data frame. Whatever that column is, I'm going to apply the convert to string and add millions method to it. And finally, I want to overwrite that column with those calculations. So again, COL is just a temporary variable that's going to represent every single one of the values in my 3-item columns list, and they're going to be packed into here and to here on each of those 3 iterations, and thus it's going to repeat this process 3 times, but I don't have to write 3 separate lines of code. So now when I execute this and take a look at my first 3 rows with the head method, we can see that the operation has applied to these 3 columns and to every cell value. We can even see that we had that NaN, and that's also been converted to a string and had millions added to the end of it. This is a completely silly example, not that this would be anything that you would actually use in a real-life data set, but it's just to demonstrate how the apply method works on a single series, and if you want to use it on a specific collection of columns within your data frame, you could do it with something like an elegant for loop like this.